This is the story of a highly choreographed delusion finally cracking under the weight of its own commercial desperation. For years, the public was sold a very specific narrative, a royal couple fleeing an oppressive institution to protect their family, guard their privacy, and build an empire on their own terms. But what looked like a principled stand has slowly revealed itself to be a devastating metaphor for momentum without direction. When the Daily Mail, a publication historically terrified of triggering yet another Sussex lawsuit, openly reports on deep internal marriage tension regarding the weaponization of their children for Instagram engagement, the story shifts. It is no longer about a family escaping the press. It is about a couple actively playing a dangerous teasing game with the media, using the very children they swore to protect as the last remaining currency in a rapidly depreciating brand. In this video, we're going to unpack the invisible war currently raging behind the gates of Montecito. We will examine the staggering collapse of their Hollywood alliances, the dark psychological truth behind their scattergun PR strategy, and why the sudden, highly controlled glimpses of Archie and Lilibet signal a deeply uncomfortable internal divide between a miserable prince and a wife who refuses to surrender the spotlight. We will look at how the architects of their own demise managed to alienate the most powerful players in entertainment, and what this commercial freefall means for the future of a marriage built on a foundation of shared victimhood. To truly understand the gravity of this moment, we have to look back at the contrast of their golden era. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle first stepped away from the British royal family, they were holding the winning lottery ticket of global goodwill. They were instantly embraced by the highest echelons of power and celebrity. They had $100 million deals with Netflix and Spotify on the table. They had the backing of Oprah Winfrey, the political elite, and the adoration of a public eager to see them succeed. They were positioned to become the ultimate modern philanthropic billionaires. They possessed a staggering level of privilege and cultural capital. But absolute power requires absolute discipline, and what the public is witnessing now is the tragic unraveling of that potential. The first major rupture was not a sudden explosion, but a slow, excruciating series of unforced errors. It became clear to industry insiders that the couple was incredibly difficult to work with, unable to retain staff and seemingly incapable of executing a long-term vision. The narrative of victimhood, which had been so lucrative during the Oprah interview and the Netflix documentary, began to curdle. The public grew fatigued, but the true turning point, the moment the invisible shield of Hollywood protection was lifted, was when the most powerful figures in the industry began to silently step back. This is not tabloid gossip, this is a forensic reality. When you look at the landscape of their current isolation, the details are devastating. We are not just talking about minor celebrities distancing themselves. We are looking at a deliberate, icy freeze-out from the absolute top of the social and commercial hierarchy. Ari Emanuel, the most powerful agent in Hollywood and the head of WME, reportedly washed his hands of the Sussex brand after Meghan allegedly infuriated his network. The Kardashians, who represent the apex of social media monetization, distanced themselves after Meghan reportedly upstaged Kris Jenner's birthday party. Anna Wintour, the undisputed gatekeeper of global fashion, made a point to physically avoid walking the red carpet alongside Meghan at Paris Fashion Week. These untouched glasses at the VIP table of Hollywood are not accidents. They are subtle, devastating signals that the industry has collectively decided the Sussexes are a bad investment. Stripped of top-tier Hollywood representation, the couple entered what can only be described as a state of commercial panic. This is where the ethical collapse begins to mirror the financial reality. Without a cohesive strategy, Meghan resorted to a scattergun approach, throwing everything at the wall to see what might stick. 1 month, she is attempting a soft launch of a luxury lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, which stalls almost immediately. The next, she's making awkward cameo appearances trying to rebrand as a fashionista, or desperately pushing a polo documentary, but there is no follow-through. It is the behavior of someone addicted to the initial flash of PR relevance, completely lacking the substance required to sustain it. But the most alarming shift is how this external failure has breached the walls of their marriage, specifically regarding their children. For years, Harry's singular defining trauma has been the media's intrusion into his life, a pain he swore he would never inflict on his son and daughter. Yet, as the commercial avenues dry up, a new strategy has emerged. Meghan has begun to use Archie and Lilibet in a highly calculated drip-feed manner on social media and in strategic leaks. It is a cynical parlor game of grandmother's footsteps, a blurry photo here, a back of the head shot there. It is not privacy, it is a tease. This is the exact contradiction that broke the silence of the mainstream media. The reports of growing tension suggest a brutal divide, a husband who is totally miserable and desperate to shield his children, and a wife who recognizes that the children are the only universally appealing assets they have left. She is essentially telling the man who fled his family to escape media scrutiny, that in order to survive financially, they must monetize the very thing he fears losing most. And the financial reality is much darker than the public realizes. Their recent pseudo-royal tours, such as the highly publicized trip to Colombia, were not the philanthropic triumphs they were styled to be. In truth, they were staggering financial burdens. The Colombian tour reportedly cost an absurd $4 million in security and logistics, largely underwritten by external entities while generating zero actual revenue for the couple. They are trying to play the role of billionaire philanthropists, Lord and Lady Bountiful, handing out cash to the needy without actually having the billions to back it up. They are running a basket case economy demanding the deference of working royalty while operating as hollow self-funded celebrities. But as the money runs out and the elite benefactors quietly close their checkbooks, Prince Harry is waking up to a chilling reality about the empire he sacrificed his family to build. To understand the psychological weight of this realization, you have to look at the architecture of Prince Harry's current isolation. When he left the United Kingdom, he traded the most formidable institutional protection on the planet for a life in the commercial free market. But the brutal truth of the free market is that it only protects you as long as you are profitable. When the profit margins shrink, the loyalties evaporate. Harry is now waking up in a palatial estate thousands of miles from his homeland, entirely severed from his family, his military brotherhood, and his lifelong friends. His primary support system is now his wife, the very person steering the commercial strategy that has systematically dismantled his public dignity. This is where the subtle visual shifts in their public appearances begin to carry devastating, deeper meaning. For years, the couple operated under the strict visual doctrine of being a united front. They were the salt and pepper shakers, moving together, always clutching hands, projecting an impenetrable fortress of marital bliss against a cruel world. But recently, the choreography has fractured. We are witnessing the quiet, agonizing uncoupling of their professional identities. Harry has embarked on solo engagements attempting to reclaim a shred of his former philanthropic glory, while Meghan pursues separate fragmented ventures in the lifestyle and entertainment space. This is not merely a shift in PR strategy. It is a tacit admission that the combined Sussex brand is commercially toxic. It suggests a desperate internal triage, an attempt to stop the bleeding by separating the patient from the cause of the infection. But the most tragic casualties of this internal warfare are the children. The debate over how and when to reveal Archie and Lilibet is not just a disagreement over social media management, it is a profound moral contradiction that cuts to the core of why they claim to leave the royal family in the first place. Harry's stated mission was to break the cycle of generational trauma, to shield his offspring from the flashbulbs that defined his own tragic childhood. Yet as the Hollywood deals expire and the A-list party invitations stop arriving, the children have suddenly become the most viable collateral they possess. The strategic faceless glimpses of them leaked to the press or deployed on Instagram are not acts of maternal pride. They are calculated deployments of assets. It is a slow, agonizing compromise of a father's foundational boundary surrendered out of pure commercial desperation. The psychological toll of this compromise must be staggering. It creates an environment where every public move, every charity appearance, and every family photograph is filtered through the lens of monetization. There is no longer a clear line between the private sanctuary of their home and the desperate demands of their content machine. And across the Atlantic, the reaction to this unraveling is not triumphant mockery, but something far more lethal, total weaponized silence. The British royal family has masterfully executed the ultimate retaliation. They have done nothing. There are no counter-leaks, no public statements of concern, and no olive branches. King Charles and the Prince of Wales have simply moved on. They have allowed the Sussexes to completely exhaust their own narrative oxygen. The permanent rift between Harry and William is no longer fueled by active anger. It has settled into the cold, impenetrable frost of total detachment. William has effectively closed the door, focusing on the future of the monarchy and his own family. The profound tragedy for Harry is that in his crusade to force his family to hear his truth, He has rendered himself entirely irrelevant to them. His absence is no longer a crisis for the institution, it is a relief. This is why the public remains so profoundly captivated by this story. It has transcended royal gossip and evolved into a Shakespearean cautionary tale about hubris, the illusion of control, and the devastating consequences of weaponized victimhood. Viewers are not watching because they hate Harry and Meghan. They are watching because this is a real-time psychological study of what happens when you burn down your own sanctuary for the applause of a crowd that never truly cared about you. It is a story about the terrifying realization that the freedom you fought so ruthlessly to achieve is actually just an empty, terrifying void. The audience recognizes the profound tragedy of a prince who wanted to be a modern humanitarian but reduced himself to a tabloid punchline, and an actress who wanted to be a global icon but became synonymous with bridge burning and brand failure. We see the untouched glasses, the strained smiles at polo matches, and the desperate pivots to new business ventures, and we recognize the unmistakable scent of a crumbling facade. The public understands that the hardest part of their journey is not the attacks from the press, but the quiet, terrifying moments behind closed doors when they realize there is no one left to blame. Looking forward, the narrative does not point toward a sudden explosive divorce tomorrow. The reality is far more complex and perhaps far more punishing. They are trapped in a golden cage of their own making. The marriage is bound together by shared grievances, massive financial overhead, and a mutual inability to admit defeat. But a partnership built on surviving a war struggles to function when the war is over, and you are the only casualties. The tension over the children, the career disasters, and the sheer exhaustion of maintaining the illusion will continue to erode the foundation. They will likely continue to launch new initiatives, each one slightly less impactful than the last, locked in a permanent cycle of trying to recreate a golden era that is gone forever. This has been an analysis of a deeply human tragedy playing out on a global stage. The collapse of the Sussex empire is a reminder that you can manipulate the media, you can buy the best PR representation, and you can demand the world's sympathy, but you cannot outrun the truth of your own choices. If you found this breakdown insightful, please subscribe to the channel. We rely entirely on your support to continue bringing you this level of forensic, unfiltered analysis. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.